So Crash, when you started graffiti, was there hip hop culture?
When we started painting the subways, well, when I started painting, because there were guys before me, but there was no hip hop. There was no, emceeing. That none of that existed. The music that we listened to was basically, I was really big into early '70s soul music, like stylistics, all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But we also listened to like salsa, disco. Rock was huge. Led Zeppelin was like major. Earth, Wind and Fire. That's what we listened to. Now the funny thing is, I was a big jazz fan. I loved jazz as a little kid.
Wow.
So when the early breaks were coming out, that was all jazz. Ralph McDonald, who's a percussionist, they used a lot of his stuff. Like the one song that he came out with, Jamming on the Groove, was in late '78. That was a jazz riff that he did, a beat that he did. That didn't exist. The dancing that we saw, the early break dancing, that the first time I ever saw break dancing, believe it or not, was in the Smith projects down the Lower East Side. I had a cousin that lived, I used to go to school down there, Mary Bertram High School, and the Smith houses were right across the street. So I used to stay with him sometimes from time to time on weekends. And, everybody was into DJing. Everybody had like turntables. I'm like, yeah, this is like 76, 77. I'm like, huh, okay. So on Friday nights, they would have these like dance competitions in the hallways of the projects. And the reason why they used the hallways was because the floor was really nice and waxed, and they used to dance with combat boots. So they were able to slide on the floor and do all this stuff. And everything that they were doing was floor oriented. It wasn't up rocking. Everything was floor. And I'm like, what is this? And this is like 76. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, but then there was no MCing. All I was hearing were the beats. They just took one song and they're just back and forth with the same beat, and then they'll go into another song and then another beat. Just to keep the rhythm going. And I'm like, this is kind of cool, but there was no MCing. So then that was I want to say the fall of '76. The following summer, where in the project that I grew up at, I was walking by the Pazin houses, and I was hearing break beats again coming from a park. So I walked up to see what it was. But then they had these guys who were called Mean Machine, who were doing these little raps, like a 4-second thing, and then the beat, and they would come in between when the beats were being mixed, and that's when they did the rap, and then the song. So it wasn't a continuous thing. But that was a summer of '77. Yeah,
that's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, well, the first dancing was, like the '76. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. And then the break dance started evolving. But the first stuff, I remember they were wearing combat boots on really waxed floors so they could slide and do all stuff. And there were a lot of girls. There was actually a lot of couple break dancing. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, so it would be like a hustle, but then they'll start going to like this break thing. I'm like, this is crazy. What's this?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's really interesting that you talk about that, because obviously you said that there was no hip hop culture.
No.
It was just what it was. It seems like it was.
Yeah, we lived what we did. Yeah, we lived. It was, we used to walk around, with the Pro Cats or with the Pumas or the leather Converse sneakers with one leg rolled up, and the one leg down. Yeah, and then and the funny thing is, a lot of what you see in terms of the early guys wearing hoods and like Adidas jackets, that's because a lot of us were into boxing. A lot of us were into like sports. So a lot of the guys that were painting, they were into all types of stuff. I was heavy into boxing, and I met a lot of guys like Camacho. They always used to come to the gym and work out with this guy who was our trainer because he was a world champion, David Vasquez. So they used to, it merged, but the dress code was pretty much the same. You wore a hood because you didn't know you were going to do a stick up. That's what it was. You're hanging out like, yo, I got an idea, yo, there's a store, so put the hood on and go. Most of the guys wore Adidas jackets because they were coming from the gym, and they wore sneakers because that's what we did. So the dress code came from that. There was a lot of sports stuff that was involved in that. Again, a lot of the guys I used to paint with were all former boxers or whatever, and I just morphed into that. I went to the Golden Gloves and on and on. So that dress code was there. But we all wore Lees, It wasn't Levi's. We had to wear Lees because they were stiff and you could iron them, that whole look. And yeah.
So
we lived it. It wasn't a style. We lived what it was.
Right. So usually now, when they have it at any of the clubs or at any of the parties, they'll have an artist drawing or painting while the club is going on. It didn't seem like that existed back then.
No.
It seemed like it was a secret.
Yeah. Well, because everybody was illegal. And you never knew there was gonna be a cop in the audience, and like, yo, they put the face and the name together, and they will grab you. So.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow. Thank you for sharing that. Wow.
Yeah.
I think that's gonna resonate with a lot of people who, for me, you painted the picture, and I was intrigued by the story.
It was where everything came from. It came out of necessity, and wanting to have an opinion. That's how I think what we did came about. Growing up where I grew up, you either were into crime, into art, or into sports. There was no fourth thing.
Mm-hmm.
You were either a baller that was always playing basketball in the summer, or playing two-hand touch football in the winter, or you were always painting, like most of us were, or you were a stick-up kid, or a drug dealer, or they had a lot of pimps growing up. Where I grew up at, there were a lot of them. So, that was the life that that I grew up around.
And look where it brought you to today.
Yeah, yeah.
It brought you to a place where you got to express yourself creatively, create a platform for graffiti. You transitioned into the galleries, and you started your own business, obviously with Wallworks.